So yeah, one of the next ones I want to talk about was this one, which I absolutely adore, the woman golfer. And it's such a, this is your, I suppose this is, you know, not just the birth, but the real, where it's getting going with the high street photographer, where anybody can now go and for their number of pennies or dollars or whatever can get their photo taken. And you've got this wonderful painted backdrop sitting behind. Now, I'm aware as we're talking, we've got real backdrops behind, but you become very aware these days of Zoom calls, how people quite often have false backgrounds. You can even choose whether you want to look like you're in an office or you're out in the countryside, or you can stick your own photo in to have as a background. And in a way, this is the kind of the early version of that. The two, you know, most photography studios, maybe they had one or maybe they had two or three particular painted backdrops. And you know, the ultimate in the posed photo, I've got my golf set, I'm going to stand here, I'm going to take on the golf pose, and we all know it's a posed photo, but you know, that little smile on her face, we're all in on it at the same time. And so we're happy to kind of accept the conceit as such.
You know, often, and I've seen this lately in the photo albums I'm cataloging now, you'll start to be able to identify a studio by the backdrops. You'll see the same backdrop used over and over and over and over again with different subjects in not dissimilar poses. You know, I think this one is somewhat extraordinary in terms of being a Scottish subject, and of course with Scotland's historic relationship to golf. And you know, the Victorian era, you know, saw a dramatic increase in the popularity of golf. And this, of course, was prompted by the explosion of rail travel and you know, mechanized manufacturing and affordability of equipment. So again, hand in hand with the Industrial Revolution, all of that. And by the time this photograph was made around the turn of the century, women's golfing had grown for several decades. And you know, the first women's golf club had been formed in St. Andrews in the 1860s, I believe. So this is, I think, this is a very significant image in terms of those bits of history.
I think also what I get a feeling with this is, in a way, it's the selfie of the time. Although she's not done it herself, it's tapping into that same kind of idea of, you know, we do it with the phone, take photos of ourselves and, you know, in particular places or with a group of friends or whatever, in a kind of a brief statement of how we wish to portray ourselves to the world. This is who I am, or this is the best version of me, or even this is a fantasy version of me that I want other people to think that I'm like. Only in this case, they're commissioning somebody else to take that photo of them. What this person is like in any other aspect of their life, we have absolutely no idea, but how she wishes to be portrayed is as this golfer.
That is interesting, I think. You know, I was talking with somebody just a few weeks ago, and they were sort of pondering, you know, what it would look like if you were able to know how many images of yourself are out in the world, especially online. And what this person was thinking about specifically was surveillance. You know, all of the cameras that you walk under on the streets and in shops and that sort of thing. And you know, presumably a lot of this is on the internet somewhere. And you combine that with all the pictures that you know are on there. You know, when somebody goes to a wedding and then dumps 367 images onto their Facebook page all at once,
Yeah.
And you're in, you know, 43% of them. If you could sort of spontaneously know of all of these images of yourself that are online, how many would there be? What would that look like? And with this image, you're still at the turn of the century living at a time where, of course, cameras and photography were familiar to people by this point. There was a point earlier in the 19th century in which it wouldn't have been. It would have been odd to see someone with a camera out on the street. But by this point, it was fairly common. And yet, people probably still had a very countable number of photographs of themselves made in their lifetimes, with few exceptions. Mm-hmm. So it was special, as you suggest, to have a photograph made. And the way, I remember when I was a kid, used to dress up to go on an airplane. But who does that anymore? Maybe it was just my family that did that. I don't know. These kinds of things, the way you presented yourself was important. And certainly in a visual format that was enduring, like a photograph. Mm-hmm.